All right, Jesse Martin here for a pre-conference with Mr. Jacob Malone. He is a history teacher here at Crossville High School. You have ninth grade all day,
Right.
pretty much, right?
Ninth grade world history all day.
All right. This is his first year teaching. He's a great teacher. I'm right across the hall from him, so I get to come in, and I got some special ed students in some of his classrooms. So I get to come in and see every now and then, help some kids. So I just wanted to have him and do this pre-conference with him. So today I've got a couple of questions to do with Mr. Malone here. And I want to start with just going over kind of what you're going to be doing. So like in the lesson, when I come observe, what topic are you going to do?
So we are right at the end of World War I. We're about to take a test on it actually at the end of this week. And so we are going to be in this lesson, we're going to be doing the Paris Peace Conference. So that is when World War I is over, or actually when the armistice is declared, as they're deciding on a peace, they're going to meet together and have that Paris Peace Conference, come up with the Treaty of Versailles. And that's a big part of the standard for World War I, but it's also kind of your segue into World War II. So that's a pretty important part of the curriculum.
So is this kind of towards the end of like the unit, or?
The way I have it, there is a unit on the World Wars. So like I have 5 units in my class, and the 5th unit's basically modern day. It picks up after World War II and comes up through like terrorism and kind of modern day world issues. So Unit 4 in my class is the World War. So it's World War I and World War II. So this is the midway point in that unit.
All right, good. All right, so what activities are you going to be doing today? Like, what's your goals as far as what you're going to be doing?
The goal, the standard, it's my 12th standard. It's that they understand the peace that came after World War I, and so my goal is for them to come away with that kind of. Really, this lesson's about to me like a general feel for it. We're doing a Flipgrid video, and I've actually kind of encouraged my kids to be a little bit silly with it, to have fun with it. But we're actually recreating this Paris Peace Conference with sock puppets. I've done a Flipgrid in my class before, and my kids have in other classes as well, and they hate it because it's you're videoing yourself. And so I've been trying to look for some way, anyway, to incorporate some of that stuff without that pressure on them, and they really like this idea. So the goal is for them to make that video, and when they come away from it, to kind of have that feel for what the Paris Peace Conference was like. I had them choose 4, they call them the Big Four, the 4 major characters from that conference. And so it's not going to be super in-depth on the whole conference, but if they can come away from this lesson and say, okay, I know what America's opinion was, and I know what France and Britain said, and they kind of have that big idea, that's what I'm trying to get out of it.
So are they going to like pretty much make a script or write a script to what they're going to be saying, come up with that on their own?
Yeah, so this is the second day that you'll be sitting in on of a 2-day. This is a 2-day lesson, and so the previous day they will have made their sock puppets, which won't take long at all. But this kind of like just to get a feel for what they look like. They just drew a mustache, or decided some of them make glasses for Woodrow Wilson out of paper clips. But I mean, like just real simple. So that took them like probably 10 minutes, 20 minutes in that first day, and then they spent the rest of the time writing scripts. A lot of them have taken that home for homework to get their scripts written and stuff. So their videos only have to be 3 to 5 minutes, and you'll be sitting down on a 50-minute class. And so they're coming in to get that script together, to kind of run over some things with me if they have questions, and they're probably going to practice it a couple times before they finally make their final presentation there.
That's right. I like the way you're doing the sock puppet. Instead of, because you noticed the last time they did the Flipgrid, they didn't really like talking, videoing themselves.
No.
I think that's good there. So describe a little bit about like the class, like the size of the class.
Okay.
Is it higher end, lower end? Do you have special education students, things like that?
It's super weird, to be honest. So like we have 3 collaborative teachers, and you're one of them. And so I was actually talking to another one earlier in the week about this. But you'll be sitting in on my honors class, but I have one special ed, I have one IEP in there, and so. She does well, but she has a tendency on some things to kind of be on an island a little bit, just because I've got 17 kids and I've had them all year in a period. And so, we're in February, so I've had them for a while. And so we have a really good groove going as far as, they're my honors class, a little bit higher, we can go more in depth. But she is at a different level. And it's an odd thing when you've got 16 kids who are, within like a very close range, and then that one. But these group projects tend to help her a lot. But actually, I think the day you'll be in here, I think she's going to be at ISS. I think she's not even going to be in the class. And so that'll be kind of a misrepresentation of that. But there's a little bit of, times I have to do some things for her to keep her kind of on the same pace.
And that's like that. And she's the one that I've tested some. And
yes.
You sent her over there.
Yeah, and she does well. She's doing well in the class. I think she's got a low C right now, but she's kind of the only person that's an outlier as far as the general demographic. Everybody else is on that honors program.
All right. So, how do you think, as far as this lesson, like how's it going to flow? Like, what are you going to kind of give them an example of what you kind of want, or
they've kind of already seen that. Like I haven't shown them a video because not all of them are appropriate, but I'm almost envisioned when I came up with this lesson like a Monty Python type skits that they used to do, where you take those historical elements and you give some humor to it. Because that was my problem. They made their first flip grid, and it was so dry, and they were so nervous, and they were so I don't want to be videoed. That I thought this time let's open it up some, but still get the main idea. Because it really is, it lends itself to that. Woodrow Wilson's coming in with all these high and mighty ideas. The rest of the conference is kind of rolling their eyes about it. And so it lends itself to that. So we've already kind of discussed what that should look like. We had taken notes on the Paris Peace Conference. I say this is a 2-day lesson. It's 2 days we focused on this project, but the day prior we had taken notes on it. So we had talked about in depth that conference and major points in the 14 points of Woodrow Wilson and the League of Nations, some major ideas from it. And so like when they wrote their scripts yesterday and were started, they were kind of ready. So they've got a vision of it. So they'll come in today. Their sock puppets are done. They're ready to go. They'll come in today with their scripts. I've got a couple I know that are going to want me to look at those scripts. Whenever we do things that are, if we're going to have humor and things, generally I'm going to make sure it's appropriate. So we'll probably come in today, have them kind of finishing up their work from yesterday as far as their sock puppets, if that's there, but probably not much. And then they'll be going over their scripts together. They almost had them done writing in class yesterday, and they were doing that as groups. And I had a couple individuals take them home. So I'm probably going to give them about 20, 25 minutes as groups to kind of collaborate with me going around and assessing what they're doing. And then when they start, take that last half of class to film it out and stuff. Actually, I might utilize your empty classroom across the hall too, but I'll probably have to split them up, give them some quiet places.
So with them doing this before, and I remember the last lesson I've watched before coming in. They did the sock puppet or the flip grid. So they're going to kind of have an idea of what you expect of them to do. So
they have a rubric. They saw the rubric yesterday. I probably will go back over the rubric today. That's actually something I should have mentioned. But yeah, they're prepped for this lesson more so than they'd normally be because it's only been 2 weeks since we did the flip grid. They're all already in there. They already have the app on their Chromebooks and things. So there won't be a lot of prep today. They'll kind of come in and get started.
So will this be the end of this lesson today? So they'll have a completed project at the end of the day.
I have 4 groups. They'll have made 4 videos, and they'll be complete. And so those will get graded. And then, like I said, this is all leading into the end of World War I. So they're looking at a test coming up. So this is kind of a final review, that they kind of get in before they take that major assessment on the whole war.
Gotcha. So while you're planning this, have you thought of anything that might go wrong? I know you're using Flipgrid, so like internet, or computer problems, just things like that.
Yeah, the internet and computer problems is always a possibility. And as far as Flipgrid goes, probably my next step would be to use their phones, which I don't allow phones in my classroom generally. But if I, kind of the way we're set up, it'd be okay in this class. It's a small class. There's 4 groups. You can get 4 phones out and do that. So that's kind of my backup usually for technology if I have something that's so centered on it. Kind of barring that, I think time management for them, and it kind of remains to be seen. The struggle last time we did Flipgrid was they hated the idea so much of themselves being on video that it was half a class of pulling teeth trying to get them to do one. They had done their work. They were prepared to do one. It was just getting them to hit record and do it, you know. And so that may resolve itself this time because it's the sock puppet thing, and they're kind of excited about the silliness of it. But
about like, how'd you do the groups? Did you pair them, like, or did you let them pick? Or
I paired them early. We've had the same groups in this class, which typically is not the case in my classrooms. But this class is really good behavior-wise, and we kind of hit a level where we clicked. And one thing I really liked about it was what I mentioned earlier with the one student having an IEP, and she's also, you know, she's good. She has good English, but she's also a Spanish speaker primarily. And so my groups have just kind of worked out to where she's got some good support in her group. She has another Spanish speaker in her group. And so I've left them for a long time. So I picked them a long time ago, but these groups have all kind of been together so long that, and a lot of them are friends, that they have good dynamics. It wasn't like numbering off or anything. Yeah. I chose some groups early in the semester, and they've been together all year.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you got this one student with IEP group of people that she can work with and stuff like that. That's good there. So, and you mentioned this about, I was going to ask if you have problems, you know, like technology or whatever. You mentioned using their phones, so that makes sense. They can just use their video on their phone, you know, then can email it to you or however.
Right.
So how would you go to looking at whether or not they've mastered what you wanted them to do, like what you wanted them to state about the
I like it anyway because I don't like subjective grading. It happens a lot in history classroom. It's kind of inevitable, but I use rubrics, and our school pushes rubrics. That's one of our CIP plans is rigor, and it has to do a lot with rubrics. And so I have a pretty clear rubric for this class, and I'll show it when you observe and everything again. But for this project, essentially, it's out of 30 points. A third of that is you have the right length of video, and I have in there that it's like historically accurate and relevant, and that's kind of the subjective part of it. But most of that grade for that rubric, you get 5 points for discussing the League of Nations, 5 points for discussing the 14 points, and 5 points for discussing Germany's war guild. So they've got three. You know, they're making a 3 to 5 minute video, and they have got 3 things that I know I want them to get.
Yeah.
And so, with there only being 4 characters in the video, and they all have the same 4, it shouldn't get lost in translation. I should be able to watch these videos and be able to read these scripts and be able to tell very clearly that, okay, they understood that it was Woodrow Wilson that presented the 14 points. And, you know, those 3 things are what I'm looking for. And so, those kind of being the things they had to hit in their script should make it easier.
So I like the way you got use of rubric. That's use of rubric's good there.
How are you, Coach?
In case you ever need it, I found the box.
You found them. Okay, awesome.
They was in a weird box. I don't even know why they was in there.
Awesome. Okay, well, we got them now. I appreciate it, sir.
In case you ever want them. Sorry I didn't have them one of
No,
them.
that's fine. That's fine.
But I was digging out something for another lab, and I found them. Why are they in this box?
Yeah, well, there they are. I might use them next year, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So use of rubric, you know, they know what they expect as far as what you want out of them for grading wise.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. I like that. And then just technologies you're using in this.
So I have 30 Chromebooks in my class. I don't have any students any classes over 28 students. I use Chromebooks every day. My general, I wouldn't call them, I guess you'd call them lectures if they're not, you know, we have activities too, but I use something called Nearpod. So my kids are always in this mindset of come in and get my Chromebook, and no matter what I'm doing, if it's notes, if it's activities, worksheets, it's usually on the Chromebook and Google Classroom. So they're kind of used to that mode. So they'll have their personal Chromebook that they're used to having. My rubric is in Google Drive and on their classrooms, so they'll be using Google Classroom today. And Flipgrid is is an online platform, but it has an app as well. So they'll be using that camera, Chromebooks, Flipgrid app, and Google Classroom.
Okay, good. That's good use. I like that you're utilizing the Google Classroom and the Nearpod. That's all good stuff there. Is there anything specifically that you would like for me to observe or kind of look at while I'm in here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a first year teacher. You said at the first, and so I'm in a situation too where the first time I did Flipgrid, it was not great. I mean, the kids did fine. It's not as if they didn't get I didn't hit my goal as far as their learning and their assessment, but it was difficult to pull off and kind of just fight. So I really don't know what to expect today. So I guess really maybe see maybe be looking for if this, because you saw it last time, and is this an improvement over the last time we tried Flipgrid? Because that's something our technology coaches in the county are kind of pushing that app, and so I've tried it once unsuccessfully, and so here's kind of the audible. And so the big thing for me that I'm looking for is this a better way to use that versus what I did last time?
Okay. Yeah, I can come in and kind of keep an eye on that and just kind of see maybe if students are all engaged in the group, instead of not one person doing something, just things like that. So I'll be good to keep an eye on that type of stuff. So I'll look for that. That's all I've got. So I'll be coming in next period there and do the observation, then we'll get together after that, maybe tomorrow, and then kind of talk about it, what I saw and things like that.
Okay, that'll work.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.